Okay, everybody, welcome back to Bullet Basics. Today we're talking about a gun that has had huge popularity over the last few years and some controversy, and that is the P365 from Sig. Before we get into it, we're going to send it over to Norm for our little marketing message. So without any further ado, we'll send it to him. Oh, hey, Norm. Crap, did we wear the same shirt again?
Oh yeah, I guess we did.
Pretty funny, but had nothing to do with getting people to subscribe. So I guess I'll have to ask you guys myself. Please subscribe, like, comment down below, all that stuff. Okay, let's get into it. The P365. For those of you new to guns and just looking at this stuff, the P365, when it first came out, had some serious controversy over reliability issues. It had several issues that people were seeing after a couple hundred rounds or less, even sometimes. And so it just wasn't a reliable gun. It's been a couple of years, and it seems like Sig has fixed all that. We aren't seeing those reports anymore from gun channels. And honestly, I guess we'll start off with, I haven't seen any issues with this gun whatsoever. It's been great. For those of us that have been around for a while, we obviously have heard this. We've seen this all over the place. Military Arms Channel was one of the biggest ones, kind of documenting all the issues that he had with 2 or 3 of the guns that he was working with. And so those have seemingly been worked out, but that is something that has been plaguing this pistol to some extent for a while. So let's get into what we thought about this pistol, what the review is. Now, we've already done a first impressions video, kind of showed picking it up, handling it just a little bit, seeing what we thought first. And now we're coming back and after having reviewed it, and we're going to talk about what we thought, how it performed. So let's first get into the grip. As I mentioned in the first one, I called the grip dainty, which I don't know if that's really fair or if that's accurate. But for some reason, even if you compare it, I randomly have a Glock 43 here sitting on the table. The Glock 43 just seems a little bit more substantial to grip. I don't know. It just seems small, and that may be a plus for you, maybe a negative for you. For me, it's a negative. It's not any type of deal breaker or something that makes me hate this gun, but it's just a little bit too small. And so other than that, it's fine. Honestly, the grip texture is great. I love the grip texture on this all the way around. I would have liked a little bit here up on kind of the more essential finger, in my opinion, the middle finger right here, because that's really where I'm gripping the most with the gun, at least around the front. And so I would have preferred that. I don't know why they didn't go with that. Maybe there's a reason, but I don't see a reason why it couldn't have had some grip texture up here, and so I would have preferred that. And so it is what it is, but as far as the texture of the grip, the stippling here, really, really enjoyed it. I think they hit it right on, and so carrying it wasn't really a big deal, isn't really a big deal. It wasn't too aggressive against my skin or anything like that for anyone when we're worried about that. Most of us, I don't think, are too worried about that anyway, but that is something to mention. So I would say that the grip texture helps keep it controllable. It is a little snappy, but I wouldn't say anything more than most of the kind of these subcompact, smaller pistols out there, and so it's not anything to worry about. So if you're worried about that, it's just I wouldn't even give it another thought. So if we're going to move into the trigger, let's talk about it. So we mentioned it before. We showed it a little bit. We'll show it again here. Let's do the trigger pull. I don't know what the weight is. It's probably 5 or 6 pounds. Someone else can show you on a different channel when they have the ability to do that. We just aren't going to do it here. The reset's great. Honestly, I would say of all the ones we reviewed of this one compared to the 7 others, and by the way, I do want to say whether we choose this one or not, I don't know. We really liked it. It's definitely one of the top, but we did do a video on just 8 different pistols, random pistols in the industry, some of the most popular ones, and then some of the other ones on the outskirts. And then in a video, we compared them all together. What we liked, kind of did a superlatives type video where, hey, this one had the best trigger, this one had the best grip, this one had the best whatever else. And so if you want to check that out, we will link it up here. It's great. We had a lot of fun doing it. It's well worth seeing them pitted against each other and which ones kind of rose to the top and which ones didn't and which ones we said, hey, this is the one I would choose. So definitely check that out. But as far as the trigger is concerned, I would say this was probably one of the best ones. Maybe not so much in the trigger pull, because there's a little bit of creep after you start engaging the trigger there. But in the reset here, it's very loud, it's tactile, you can feel it. It's just really, really good. And so I didn't have any troubles with it at all. I do like that it, personally, like that it didn't have the safety blade in there, and it didn't have a hinge trigger like the M&P line has. It's just a nice, nice feeling trigger. I really enjoyed it. Now if we move into the sights. I mentioned the sights again. They're not quite as easy to pick up as some of the other pistols, or at least the Hellcat from what we mentioned. But honestly, they're really good sights. There's nothing to complain about there. If you like blacked out, these are virtually blacked out in the rear, and then have that kind of green there in the front. And inside, outside, no matter where we were, it didn't matter. I could pick them up quickly, and I was able to fire very rapidly. And so there's nothing to worry about there as far as there are some sights out there that just aren't very good, right? And it's hard to pick up, and it's hard to have them use them quickly and efficiently. And that's the whole point of the gun, right? You want the gun to be able to help you be accurate quickly. And these are great. Now let's get into the most important part of it, is the reliability. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, this was 100% reliable. We put about 300 rounds through it. I don't have an exact count for you. If I were to estimate, it's over 300 rounds. And it was all kinds of ammo. Again, we just kind of, whatever we have, we use. And so there was some very underpowered ammo. Gosh, I can't even remember what it's called. Max Tech or something stupid. And it was just gutless ammo, at least the amount, the ones we got. And so it made a bunch of the guns malfunction, in fact, including the Glock. But this was not one of them. It functioned flawlessly. We did shoot some hollow points. I can't remember what we had. American Tactical something or another. Some Spear Gold Dot. What else? There were a couple of them, but anyway, it fed everything that we put through it, and I'm very willing to trust this with my life as far as it's just going to function. So there's not much more you can ask for than complete reliability. And if you look around out there, there are lots of people doing high round counts in these guns because of the problems they had at the very beginning. Because if you bought one of these used, one of the first generations of this gun, you may run into reliability issues down the road because they really were having those problems. Now, I don't know that you will. There are people putting 2,000, 3,000 plus rounds through their guns, and they function flawlessly, and they're great. And so I wouldn't have any problem with this. Other people won't trust it just because of the problems that it's had in the past. I just don't see that as a problem for me. That is something, though, that you're going to have to, I guess that you're just going to have to factor that in. Is that something that bothers you, that it's had this history? Is it not? Have they fixed it? If they have, then just keep that in mind. Let's talk concealability. Concealability, obviously, it's a very small pistol. It's about the same size as the Glock 43, Smith & Wesson M&P Shield, any of those ones out on the market that are very popular. It's slightly wider, I would say, just simply because the magazine's a little bit bigger, a little bit wider, and so it's a little less concealable from that standpoint, but from every other dimension, it's virtually the same. And so there are people that carry big, Glock 19s, Glock 17s concealed and do just fine. You're probably not going to have any issue with this one. It's very small, very compact. It's the perfect type of gun considering the round count that you get. All right, let's talk the aesthetics. I know it's the most important thing we could talk about. Let's talk about it. So if we're looking at this gun, honestly, I think this is one of the best looking guns in the concealed carry market. I love the way that it looks. It's better, in my opinion, better than the Hellcat as far as aesthetics are concerned, better than the Shield, better than the Glock, any of those. It just looks really nice. It does look a little bit, like I said, it just looks a little daintier, but having put rounds through it, it just feels substantial. It feels good. It's high quality. It's built well. And so I just like it. I don't have anything bad to say about it. They did it right. They did everything really well. They have the serrations up here that give that a good aesthetic look, but that are actually functional as well. You can do press checks. You can rack the slide over the top. It's very good. One other thing to mention is the rail here below. There is a rail. You can do lights, lasers, other things like that, whatever you want. You are going to have to look for specific SIG or people that make it for the SIG, because it's not universal, and so that's something to keep in mind. It is a little bit harder to find that kind of thing, but the SIG's wildly popular, and so there's definitely stuff you can find there. Okay, let's bring it all together. The Sig P365 overall impressions, no individual parts. How do I feel about it as a gun? If I'm going to walk out the door, am I going to bring it with me? It's a really well-built gun. It functions really well. There are haters of it. There are lovers of it. We generally, I brought, how many people did I bring with me? 4 different people. 5 different people with me at different occasions when I was going out to review it and have them shoot it a little bit, what they thought about it. My wife, this was her number one gun. She loves Sig. She has a Sig that she carries, and so she really loved this. Other people liked it, didn't love it. My general opinions is it's definitely a great option. It's not something that you should worry about probably, although you have to factor that in for yourself, right? But it's a well-built gun. Sig makes good guns, and so everything comes together. It just feels good. It shoots well. It conceals well. Everything is a thumbs up on this one. Whether we would choose this or not, that's something you're going to have to check out in our other video, the one I mentioned. I'll link it up here again. It's definitely a cool video, so it's well worth your time to go check out. At this point, it's safe to say that Sig put together a really good gun. It was successful already. It's going to continue to be successful because, especially with the round count, which I don't know if I even mentioned, that was one of the biggest pulls to this gun, is that it had 10+1 in the chamber when it's about the size of a Glock that only has 6+1. Holy crap, man, that is just insane. How much more ammo? I mean, that's almost more than a 50% increase from 6 anyway, to get that in there. And then obviously if you have the extended mag, which is this one that I have, takes you to 12+1. That is just a lot of firepower considering how small this gun is. And for that reason, in my opinion, for that reason alone, as long as it's reliable and as long as it's concealable, for that reason, it's well worth a purchase, well worth looking at and using as your concealed carry gun. Definitely go test it out before you do, though. Go to a range, put a couple of rounds through it, see if you like it. At least go hold it in the gun range or at the gun store and see what you think. Guys, as always, we're going to ask you, like, subscribe, support gun channels on YouTube. Show YouTube that this is a valuable part of their business. As the more that we engage, the more videos we watch all the way through, the better that'll be. We love you guys. We'll see you next time.